And Pokemon Day recently passed over. It was a great presentation, in my personal opinion, and I'd love to talk about some of the things that were shown in the presentation, what I liked, what I didn't like, and that's really it, man. Some predictions I might have for the future of the franchise as well. I'm Terrible Shoes. Thanks for stopping by for today's video, and let's talk about Pokemon Day and what was great about it, what was iffy about it, and what could have, what I thought really knocked it out of the park. So anyway, we're going to start off with some of the mobile games. I personally don't play Pokemon Masters EX, but I think that the artwork and the model for the original Red was really, really cool. They did a great job reproducing his original art style. Very, very good looking. And I did some research into the campaign involving him as well. And I think it's also interesting that the Pikachu that he uses has the original Game Boy sound effects for its attacks and when its cry. It's a very good attention to detail. And it also points out something that a lot of people knew for years, but hopefully this will teach a little people who are not as fluent with the Pokemon lore that most of these protagonists do come from separate universes. It has been known for a really long time that alternate versions of the games are alternate universes. Remakes of the games take place in alternate universes, and there are alternate timelines, such as that with Mega Evolution, that without Mega Evolution, etc., etc., etc. And I actually think that that's a really cool thing that they explore. The game just unfortunately is not really for me. I'm not huge on big microtransaction-based games, and that's just something I see a lot in that one. And that's really that. Moving on to Pokemon Sleep. Again, I actually really do like Pokemon Sleep. I do play it every day. I use it to track my sleep, and it's a fun little idle game to play. The Mew missions are really just that. The Mew missions, occasionally Mew will show up in a photo you take during sleep research, and you get a few points and a few little bonus things for getting a bunch of them. That's really it. There's nothing else to it. It's very basic, but it goes pretty well fundamentally with what the rest of the game is like. So I think that one is, I guess it's pretty good for what it is. I don't care at all about Cafe Remix, and I feel like this is the weakest link out of all of the mobile game updates they showed. Yeah, sure, you can get all the starters now, a nice little costume, but it's Cafe Remix, and there's a million other puzzle games that, unfortunately, do it better. That's really it. Let's see. Moving on to the big old Game Boy Music Collection. Now, that is something that I don't really know what to think about this. It's a very, very interesting piece of plastic. It's cool for what it is. I understand the nostalgic vibe it gives off, but I really think that there's a way that this could have been improved, but it unfortunately would have raised the price. So basically what the Game Boy Music Player is it comes with the entire soundtrack to Pokemon Red and Blue. However, each song is on an individual cartridge and the chiptune has essentially been perfectly replicated to sound like the original Game Boy. I think that's really cool. It's a very interesting item, and it actually wound up being a lot less money than I thought it was going to be. It was priced around 60 or 70 bucks, I believe it was. I saw that during the presentation, and I literally said, yep, another $250 piece of collector plastic slop, and it really beat my expectations in that department. I didn't expect it to be as cheap as it was going to be, and I think that that's going to be something that's going to be worth a lot of money in the future. Not to really throw out the scalper vibes or anything like that, but that is definitely a collector's piece that a couple of years from now I think will be worth a good amount of money. So, hey, if that's your thing, or if you want to display it on a shelf, because something I've said over the last couple of years when it comes to merch for video games, and this unfortunately falls right into the category here, is a lot of pieces of merchandise are created to be on the back shelf during a YouTube video to look nice and to populate it for content creators' videos. A lot of merchandise is created as content creator set pieces, in my personal opinion. And this, unfortunately, super fits that gap. It really just does. That's my personal opinion on it. And that's really all I have to say about that. They did a little bit on Legends ZA. The DLC, they're dropping Garchomp Z. There's nothing special about this, unfortunately, in my opinion. The Z Mega Evolutions are pretty cool. You have to have the paid DLC to get the Garchomp Z Stone, which I think is crazy. I think it should have been free for everyone who owns the game, but I also sort of understand why it went with this. I mean, you had to pay to get the other Z Mega Evolutions. Guess this one really ain't that different. That I don't know. That's just a little disappointing. There's actually something they didn't show off in the trailer too that I'd like to talk about. Well, not the trailer, the presentation. For Pokemon TCG Live, they actually gave out a code. It's very readily available. You can find it really pretty much anywhere just by Googling it after this. That gives you almost a full booster box of Mega Evolution packs to open. Now, 30 packs, I believe it was, and like a couple playmats and coins and such. And now that, I think, is a really, really cool thing. And that covers Pokemon TCG Live. Not really sure why they didn't show that part off in the presentation. Maybe they did, and I just wasn't paying attention. But that's actually a really good way to celebrate the 30th anniversary, especially if you can't get physical packs to put them into the game, the codes into the game. Pokemon TCG Pocket, I've talked about this game for a really long time, and I'm actually a really big fan of it. It's a huge Marvel Snap style game where matches are meant to be very quick and quick and painless, basically. It has the collector aspect as well, with some unique artworks unfortunately up until the recent set. And I hate to say this, I think this one really got the shaft here, because we got a trailer for a set that we released a week before the presentation, and that was it. However, one thing that they did do right, in my opinion, is they're having a 30-day celebration going on in the app, where every day you log in for the next 30 days. I think it's a little bit more than that, actually. They're giving a really good grace period for it. But the next 30 times you log in, you will get either a booster pack or a playmat, all based, and the booster packs are all recent sets or sets that aren't available anymore, like Deluxe EX pack. And the other things are playmats and coins and sleeves and such, celebrating the 30th anniversary, and I really, really like that. That is super cool. And I gotta be real, the new 30th anniversary TCG set being, as you guys know, I'm a TCG guy, I am stoked for this. I think this is one of the coolest things they could have done. I'm very curious what the new mechanic is going to be, because they very clearly showed some type of Omni Energy mechanic at the end of the trailer with Mew and Mewtwo, and I am wondering what that will be. However, to talk about the actual set itself, they showed off multiple reprints of cards from the last 30 years, just like Celebrations did 5 years ago for the 25th anniversary. But this looks to go far beyond anything Celebrations did, as we saw some of the classic e-reader cards. We saw some of the double cards that you had to connect together from the Heart Gold and Soul Silver era. And I felt like this one really covered a lot more. And we saw also some competitive cards that were very good competitively, like Genesect EX back in the day. That G-Signal boost was a nightmare to deal with if you played with it back then. There is one card I didn't see in that trailer that I kind of really hope is in the set, and that is Tapu Lele GX, because that was a monster during the Sun and Moon era. And I think it would be crazy to not get reprinted in this one. It did get reprinted in Celebrations, so I have a feeling it's coming back for this one too. It's a personal favorite card of mine because I was really, really into competitive play back then, so hopefully we will see that in the set too. And then we're going to end it off with the big one, Winds and Waves. I made a huge video about this not huge, like a relatively long video compared to what I normally do about this, how people have been whining that it's not coming to the Switch 1, and I think that it's going to be amazing. I'm really glad they're giving it an extra year of development time. That is something that was desperately needed with Scarlet and Violet, and I'm glad they are not just pushing it out for the holidays just to get it out, and then 2 years later fixing it with a patch like they did for the Switch 2 version, or the Switch 2 update of Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet was released in an incredibly poor state. It was barely playable on the Switch 1. I enjoyed the story and the actual open world mechanic of Scarlet and Violet. I thought that was really cool, but I always was under the personal belief that that game was never meant to run on the Switch 1 and that it was forced out for the Switch 1 to make sales for that holiday that it came out. And that's really it. I think Winds and Waves is going to be a fantastic game. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very happy to see that it is Switch 2 exclusive because it will not be held back by the Switch 1's hardware. And I am very excited for it, and I think it's going to do great. All in all, I thought this Pokemon Presents was actually good. I thought there was a lot of fun stuff in there. Oh, and one thing I didn't really talk about either was Pokemon Champions. It looks like, well, Pokemon Champions. It's going to replace the competitive meta from what we know. And the unfortunate part is that there will be a battle pass, but what free-to-play game doesn't have it in the world now? I really don't know why people are that upset about that either. The game is completely free, and there will be free rewards you don't have to pay for as well. So I just don't understand people sometimes. It's like they thought that this huge new game was going to be on the Switch 1. They thought Champions, a game that is completely free and will be used as the competitive meta going forward, was going to be a 100% free game, that they would never, that everything would be handed to them for free just for simply opening the app. I don't understand Pokemon fans sometimes. I feel like some of them just don't actually know anything about video games outside of the Pokemon franchise, and it causes these huge knowledge gaps when it comes to things like this. And it's kind of annoying to see, but it is what it is. All in all, like I was saying, the presentation was really good. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm really excited for this year and next year as well with Pokemon. And I think the future of the franchise is incredibly bright. I think there's a lot of improvements we're seeing going forward. I know a lot of people were saying that this franchise was falling behind compared to other ones like Digimon and such. And I really am glad to see that they at least took some of that feedback and started really, really crunching to make the franchise look and play better. That's all I really have to say for today. Let me know down below in the comment section what your opinion was. Did you like the presentation? What would you have changed? What did you not like about the presentation? I want to hear all of it. I love reading your comments when you guys do comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Terrible Shoes. Hit the like and subscribe button, and thanks for joining me for today.